light novel is awesome. Hello everybody and welcome to this special set of videos. This is going to be part 1 of 2 covering the Kono light novel Ga Sugoi 2019 edition. Now, Kono light novel Ga Sugoi literally means this light novel is awesome. This is a publication that's been in existence since 2004, and at least one scholar that I've read a paper on said that it's his opinion that this is actually the magazine that made light novel a common term in the wide society at large, that up until that point it had really just been sort of like a niche fan terminology. So pretty influential. Now, what Kono light novel Ga Sugoi does is that it actually polls fans, and then it polls also people that they consider industry insiders. So that can be authors, publishers, even like bloggers and so forth, and they compile all of those results together to create the top 10. Now, for a number of years, what they did was they actually only had a single list that was the top 10 light novels. Now, what they've done the last couple years, and they have continued again this year, and this is why this video is in 2 parts, is they have split the list. The one list is the Bunkobon format, which those are typically, like if you're in North America, it's what we would pretty much consider the mass market paperbacks. So a bit smaller, cheaper, pretty much seen as sort of like a read it and toss it kind of format. The second list that they have is the Bunkobon format, which is the higher end, the more expensive type book. So more what we would consider like a trade paperback. Now, actually, Sam from J Novel Club, when he was talking to us in our podcast a couple of weeks ago, he was saying that one of the moves and one of the reasons that publishers are moving towards this format is because with web novels being very, very popular, they're finding that fans are more inclined to buy like a collection item, which is like this higher priced format. So that's part of the reason that the publishing industry in Japan is kind of moving and having so many titles available in this higher end format than classically where light novels typically were almost exclusively published in the Bunkobon. So I think that's kind of why they decided to split these lists. They're kind of acknowledging that yes, there are titles that are light novels in both, and that, you know, it's not necessarily the same audience for both of these things as well. So in any case, this video, number 1 of the series, is going to cover the Bunkobon, and then volume 2 of this series is going to cover the Bunkobon list. Now, Kono light novel Ga Sugoi has a bunch of other top 10s. They have like a poll for most popular character, male character, female character. They have a poll for the top 10 best artists. They also have other polls as well. I'm not going to cover all of those because honestly, I don't think I should do like 10 videos dedicated to Kono light novel Ga Sugoi, but I will, in the description down below, include the top 10 characters as well as the top 10 illustrators, because they're certainly cool to look at and check out and show some appreciation for. Now, even though Kono light novel Ga Sugoi is published in Japan and only polls Japanese readers as well as Japanese industry people for this ranking, it's pretty important for English fans of light novels because, as you'll see as I go through these lists, quite a number of these have been licensed. And not only licensed, but also quite a number of them end up having anime developed for the title. So Kono light novel Ga Sugoi, again, is a really good barometer on sort of seeing what is going to be probably coming to us in either the form of anime or even licensed products down the road. So let's get to the list of the top 10 Bunkobon of the past year. At number 10, we have Sword Art Online. This one, of course, written by Reki Kawahara. It's illustrated by abec. We do have this licensed for English release by Yen On. Now, as of December 2018, there will be 21 volumes in Japan, and we'll have 15 volumes in English. Now, 21 volumes is kind of notable in Japan because at volume 20, that was the end of Sword Art Online. That was all of the stuff that Reki Kawahara had published on the web as part of the Sword Art Online web novel. So 21 is actually the start of a brand new arc, brand new material, written like now, because it's a lot of the web material that has been adapted. It's actually a little bit older. Like it's not as new as some of Reki Kawahara's other work. So this is actually brand new stuff, and based on the fact that there's really not a lot out there about it, as far as I know, he has not posted this on the web as part of a web novel like he had for Sword Art Online beforehand. Now, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe there was like a little bit of it revealed in some magazines about what it's going to be, but as far as I understand it, this one's been kept pretty much under wraps in terms of what the brand new arc is going to be. This is most likely going to be the last arc of Sword Art Online, but lots of people are theorizing that since Alicization was such a long arc, this one could go on for another 10 volumes as well. At number 9, we have A Certain Magical Index. This one by Kazuma Kamachi, and it is illustrated by Kiyotaka Haimura. It is licensed for English release by Yen On. Now, this one's kind of interesting because this series, the fact this is based on is actually based on the sequel to A Certain Magical Index, which is A Certain Magical Index New Testament. In English, we don't have New Testament yet. We are still working our way through the first series, A Certain Magical Index. In Japan, the main series finished at 24 volumes, and they already have 21 volumes of New Testament. In English, we're only getting volume 18 of the first series in February of 2019, so we're still quite a ways behind. Funny enough, we're actually going to be doing a light novel podcast. Well, we've already recorded it. It'll be posted soon here on the channel. We did a podcast dedicated to A Certain Magical Index because there are quite a number of fans as part of our group. And this one's also, it's pretty timely at this point because there is currently the third season, which will probably finish the Certain Magical Index, the first series. It's just starting to air. It's been 9 years that fans have been waiting for this third season of the anime. So pretty timely, and obviously still tons of popularity behind the series. And I think it's a very, very good bet that we are going to get New Testament eventually, but I don't think it's going to happen until Yen gets much closer to finishing the first series. At number 8, Sankaku no Kyori wa Kagiri nai zero. This is written by Saginomiya Misaki and is illustrated by Hiten. This one is one that we do not have an English license for, possibly because it only has 2 volumes so far in the series available in Japan. And in fact, there's really not a whole lot of information available. I had to use Google Translate to even get a rough idea. But basically what it looks like, and this could be kind of interesting, it is a love triangle, but instead of being a guy and 2 girls, or, you know, a girl and 2 guys, it is 1 guy, 1 girl, but the girl has a split personality. And each of those personalities is in love with him, and he's in love with each of those personalities. And hilarity ensues. So it sounds like a really kind of interesting mix on the whole love triangle thing. So again, I don't know very much about this series. If any of you are familiar even a little bit with it, please feel free to leave some information in the comments down below. Like I said, these series that are really relatively new in Japan, there's really not a lot of information at all about them in English that can be kind of trusted at this point. At number 7, Boku-tachi no Remake. This one is by Nachi Kio with illustrations by Eretto. Now, we do have some information in English. It is not licensed currently. People refer to it as Remake Our Life. This one, we have Kyoya Hashiba, who worked at a game company, had his dream shattered and decided to return to his parents' home. But after waking up, it was 10 years ago. For some reason, he was attending the arts college that he was supposed to have given up on. Furthermore, the creators that he admired in the future were his classmates? So this one's kind of playing with that whole idea of, if I could go back and do it over, knowing what I know now, well, here we are. I don't know whether this is supposed to be like an entirely alt reality or how this is played up, to be honest. It is not, again, it's not available in English. There's not a ton of information about it. I'd love to know your thoughts, if you know this at all, in the comments down below. At number 6, Classroom of the Elite. This one is by Syougo Kinugasa, with illustrations by Sankaku Tomose. This one is licensed for English release. Finally, we had been talking about this one for a long time. Finally, it was announced by 7 Seas that they were licensing this title. It is going to be released, the first volume, in May. So May 7th of 2019. Mark it on your calendars. I know I'll be picking it up for sure. In Japan, there are 9 volumes released now. That's, I believe, involving, there's 9 volumes, but there's some side volumes, so that's there as well. This one is about a very interesting school that is sort of set up where each class is ranked, and each of the students, of course, assigned that class based on their rank in terms of, I guess, different criteria, like whether it be pure. I don't think it's purely academic. I think there's some other aspects to it. Anyway, it sort of follows a student who was put in the lowest ranked class and how he kind of starts to try and claw his way up along with some of the people that he meets in the class. It did have an anime that was very popular, and funny enough, it's one of those titles that in the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan that I cover on a weekly basis, every new volume does very, very well, and it all started back with the anime. The anime, like, it was wild to watch just how many volumes of that series got into the top 10 with that anime as it went week to week. So it's done very, very well. A lot of people have said that they think it's a phenomenal series, so I'm really looking forward to May when we can finally officially have it in our hands. At number 5, we have 86. This one written by Asato with illustrations by Shirabi. Now, this one has been licensed for English release. We don't have it yet. It's actually coming March 19th of 2019, another one to add to the calendar. This one's been licensed by Yen On. In Japan, there's currently 5 volumes available for the series. This one is sort of like an alt-world war type series. It has these 2 nations that are at war with one another, and the one nation is using unmanned drones, and so the other nation answers with their own unmanned drones. At least that's what they tell the public. But what it turns out is that those unmanned drones are actually manned, and they're manned by individuals that, well, basically this country, apparently, from what I've heard from others, this country is incredibly racist, and so it basically takes its undesirables and shoves them into these things and forces them to fight. So it has a whole bunch of sort of themes and ideas that I think are quite timely given our current geopolitical situation. In fact, as far as I understand it, this series was actually inspired by when the Obama administration started using drones much more widely in the Middle East. So it's been born out of that whole thing and basically seems to have just kind of continued to evolve and keep up with the craziness that is our current world. So I'm actually really looking forward to this one. This is not the kind of series that we really have a lot of. In fact, probably the closest that we have is Tanya, the Saga of Tanya the Evil, and even that, it has elements of isekai and stuff in it as well. So it's a bit different. This one is purely just a war kind of chronicle. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out. I have heard that it is A, quite good, and B, don't get really attached to anybody because people die, which I guess, you know, that's war, right? So in any case, I'll be checking this one out in March. At number 4, we have Gay Oh Soru, Soshite Joshi Kosei O Hiro. This is written by Shimasabe and is illustrated by Buta. Now, the novel Updates has this translated as, I shaved, then I brought a high school girl home. So I guess you guys can kind of see where this is going. Broken-hearted and drunk, Yoshida, a 26-year-old salaryman, stumbled upon a runaway from home high schooler on his way back from the bar. Hey you, JK. What the heck are you doing out here? Go home already. Uncle, let me stay at your place for the night. You can do that to me if you let me stay. If you meant that as a joke, it's not funny. I'm not joking, it's fine by me. Then allow me to tell you that I have no interest in brats. Then just let me stay. We do not have an English license for this series. There's currently just, I believe, 2 volumes out in Japan. So basically it's about a salaryman who has a high school girl staying at his place. I don't see anything wrong that could possibly happen with this. Yeah. I don't really think that it descends into anything really distasteful, but I really don't know. But hey, if any of you have any ideas, I'd love to hear your comments down below. At number 3, we have Cuchara Tomos-kun. This one is written by Yuki Yaku with illustrations by Fly. This one was just announced as having been licensed in English. Yen On has picked this one up. Based on their usual timelines, I imagine we probably won't see this until mid to fall 2019. Right now in Japan, there are 7 volumes released, with one of those being a 6.5. It's sort of a side story, I believe, volume. We are having it released in English as Bottom Tier Character Tomozaki. This is a walkthrough of life, a crappy video game. Life is a bad video game. The cliche phrase is sadly a reality. However, life doesn't have simple, easy rules. What it does have is irrationality and inequality. The strong say that they have a lot of freedom, but the weak have no choice but to live an overwhelmingly disadvantaged lifestyle. Therefore, it's a crap game. There's no mistake, because I, the best gamer in Japan, declare it to be crap. However, that person, who is on the same level as me, goes around saying life is a great game. The school's perfect, strong-willed heroine, Hinami Aoi. Furthermore, I'll teach you the rules of life, the game. Normally, I wouldn't believe in those words. However, Hinami Aoi isn't a character that doesn't even fit in a normal frame at all. From the winner of the 10th Shogakukan Light Novel Award for Excellence, Cuchara takes on life's strategy guide, but with instructions from a bishoujo. So basically, 2 gamers, 1 guy, 1 girl. He thinks that life is a piece of crap. She thinks that, hey, if you know the rules and you can exploit them, life is just a game that you can actually beat and succeed at. And so she goes to teach him those rules. It sounds like it could be a really fun comedy. It's actually done very well. It's on the top 10 all the time whenever a new volume comes out. And I've said numerous times that I was looking forward to the day when we might get it licensed, because it just sounds like a very cool slice of life. And I do kind of like the whole gamer aspect of it. So I'm looking forward to this one. At number 2, we have The Ryuo's Work Is Never Done. This one by Shiratori Shiro, with illustrations by Shirabi. This one is licensed for English release by Bookwalker. In Japan, there's currently 9 volumes released. In English, we have 5 volumes. Now, this is an exclusive title through Bookwalker. You can only buy it in ebook from them. You can't buy the ebook at any other websites. A comedy about a live-in apprentice who won't take no for an answer, and the most intense shogi matches this century has seen, all supervised by Sayuki, Osaka's young professional shogi team. I open my front door, and there's a grade school girl sitting there. I'm here to be your apprentice, as you promised. Claiming the shogi world's strongest title, Ryuo, at the age of 16, Yaichi Kuzuryu comes home to find Ai Hinatsura, a third-grade girl, waiting for him. A 9-year-old. Come again? Apprentice? Huh? Don't you remember? He did not, but that's how the two came to share the same roof. Yaichi's spirit was on the verge of breaking, but Ai's unyielding enthusiasm reignites the fire within him. So this is a series basically about a teenage boy who has risen to the heights in the shogi world. Probably it's easiest just to compare shogi to chess, although there's obviously a number of differences. But in terms of like the intensity and the strategy and even sort of how serious the matches are taken and organized, it's probably the best comparison. I did review the first volume of this series. Now, it had some stuff in it that I was kind of like, do we really need to, you know, kind of sexualize the 9-year-old? Like, dang. But other than that, I actually kind of liked some of the stuff in the book. I really liked how they did the shogi battles. It actually made them quite interesting and engaging. And I did like the idea of this kid who's being sort of crushed under the weight of his own success, kind of finding his own passion again because of someone who is young and unorthodox and doesn't know all the rules. And, you know, I liked that aspect of the book. It certainly had a lot of promise. Frog-kun actually felt very much the same way as I did about the first volume, but she continued to read the series and seems to say that it gets continually better. This one's actually been very popular. In fact, the past 2 years, this has been #1 in Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi on the Bunkobon list. So this is the first year out of 3 that it's dropped, and then again it's only dropped to #2. So that speaks a lot, I think, to the general impression of this series and the quality that people see in the book. This one did just have an anime not too long ago. It didn't seem like the anime lit the same kind of fire that the light novel has in Japan, but well, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's an adaptation, so I don't know. I didn't watch the anime, though, because I always have kind of thought, like, oh, maybe I should go back and read some more of it and sort of see how it gets. But did any of you watch the anime? What'd you think? Especially if you've read the light novels as well. Did the anime do it any justice? Was it kind of meh? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. At #1, and this title is actually kind of notable because for the first time since Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi began publication in 2004, this is the first time that a work has taken #1 in the overall list as well as in the new work list. It's the first time it's happened. So it's not one that we have licensed in English. In fact, there's only 2 volumes out in Japan so far, and that is Sabikui no Bisco, or Rust Eater Bisco. The author is Shinji Kobukubo, and the illustrator is Akagishi Kei. Now, again, like I said, there's no English license for this yet, although given what it's accomplished, I would not be surprised if we see this licensed fairly soon. It was a Silver Award winner at the 24th Dengeki Novel Grand Prize, and the story's set in a Japan which is ravaged by plague-like rust. And so basically, the story follows a hunter of mushrooms, which is Bisco Akaboshi, and a young doctor who travels with him, which is Milo Nekoyanagi. And together, they're actually searching for sort of a legendary mushroom, which is supposedly a medicinal mushroom, and that it is kind of believed that it might actually be a cure for the rust. Now, I don't know how the whole thing with the mushrooms ties in and everything else. This is, again, one of those books that because it's so new, there's not a lot of information on it. And to be honest, I from the English side of the fandom world, I think a lot of people were kind of surprised by this one. because when I was looking on the things like, you know, on Reddit and stuff like that, people were like, what the what the hell is this book? Like, nobody's heard of it apparently. So not a lot of information on this one out there. If you know anything about it, I would be more than happy to hear about it in the comments down below. Like I said, I mean, it's a #1 volume, and it's the first time that it's taken #1 in overall as well as new work. So, like, guaranteed we're going to hear more about this series. It's early for it to get an anime adaptation with it only having 2 volumes, but I can almost guarantee you that if it continues to do well, when this hits at least, say, let's say 5-6 volumes, an anime is going to get announced. I'd lay odds this one's going to get licensed in 2019 or in 2020. If it doesn't get licensed in 2019 and is still on the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi ranking next year, guaranteed we get it the year after. Guaranteed. There's no way that this one has done this well in this Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi and we don't eventually get it in English. That's my call. I mean, you've heard all the ones that I've gone through here. I believe there's only like 3 or 4 that we don't have licensed in English, and most of those are the ones that there's only 2 volumes so far. So, like, really give this one a couple more volumes under its belt. If its sales performance does very well, and like I said, if we don't hear anything, but then we hit Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi next year and it's on that list, guarantee it'll be picked up for English release. So those are my predictions. I guess time will tell if I'm right or wrong. So those are the top 10 Bunkobon titles series of the past year according to Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi. And again, like I said, I'm going to be doing another video where I'm going to go over the top 10 Tankobon titles that, again, are the top 10 series of the past year. So I hope you'll join me in that video. I'll leave a link somewhere above my head so that you can click on through to that video. If you're new to the channel and you love light novels, or maybe you're just starting to get interested in them, you should consider subscribing. I do special videos like this when the need calls for it. There's also reviews, news, and the light novel podcast on this channel as well. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.